Yay! We're up and running. We are recording today, and welcome everybody into the Humans of Beekeeping podcast. I don't really like that, but that's okay. It was weird, wasn't it? But we can't redo it anyway, so that's okay. My name is Vanessa. I'm the founder of Humans of Beekeeping. Humans of Beekeeping, it's a space and a place and page and a non-profit page where we share all about different beekeepers and beekeeping practices all over the world. I started traveling around Australia not that long ago, and I am still gonna travel around Australia, but I'm gonna take it a bit further away. And today we have Stephanie from New Zealand. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hi. So yeah, my name's Stephanie and I'm from New Zealand. So I am based in Southland, New Zealand. So the very, very bottom of New Zealand. I drive half an hour and I fall off the edge of the earth. Everyone thinks there's penguins walking down my main street, but it's not that cold. I'm close to Antarctica, but not that close. So yeah, so I started Munro Honey Co. About a year ago. I did a beekeeping course 3 years ago. I accidentally fell in love with bees, and then I finished that and I started my Instagram and blog just from loving bees and wanting to share my passion for them and telling people about what I was learning, because I was finding the more I was chatting to people, the more they would say, why don't I know this, and where can I find this information out? So I thought, oh, I'll start an Instagram and start blogging about bee facts and information that I'm learning. And yeah, and that was a couple of years ago now, and it just started from there, and Munro Honey Co was born, and now I've just got this little bee business that I spend all my spare time, which I don't have a lot of, doing. So yeah, that's pretty much.
It's great. So you started not long ago. How many hives do you run?
I have 30 hives now.
Wow.
So the first year I had 2 when I was studying. Then I sold my car. I had a brand new car and I sold it. And I drive a dinky old van now. But I sold it and spent all my money on another 12 beehives. And then so last year I ran about 14, 15 hives. And now this year I've got 30. So I'm doubling just about every year. And the next season I'd like about 60. That'd be oh, yeah.
Do you do it all on your own?
I mostly do it on my own. When I get really busy, I rope my dear husband into helping me. So yeah, he comes along and helps me, and it's nice having someone to chat to and talk about dreams and goals, and I don't know, just he's also really strong, and so it helps lifting all the honey boxes. It's really good. Otherwise I come home very tired.
So he doesn't mind the odd sting every now and then.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good actually. I'm not a huge fan of being stung. I don't react the best. I swell up quite a lot. So but he's really good. He doesn't beekeep with any gloves, and he gets a few stings, but they don't seem to bother him. So he's quite calm as a human. He's quite calm, and so I don't know. I think he doesn't get frazzled by the bees at all, which is good. Really good.
Awesome. You explained how did you start it and stuff, but what really, like, what got you to want to do that course and start keeping the bees?
So it all I was making over my backyard, and I went down to my local plant shop, and the Bee Society was down there, and they were talking about what to plant in your garden for bee-friendly plants, that kind of stuff, around farms and in town and a bit of everything. And they had an open hive there, a display hive. And I just watched them, and I just remember feeling memorized by them. I just thought they were just amazing. And I just kept asking questions, and yeah, I don't know, I just kind of fell in love. And I came home and I said to Ryan, there was bees, and oh my goodness, like I told him all about them. I just didn't shut up about the bees. And then a week later, a course came up, and it was like studying bees in your weekend for a year. And I thought, well, why not? What have I got to lose? And yeah, the more time I spent in them, the more I just fell in love with them. And I think it's the fact that there's just these little amazing creatures, and they have their whole ecosystem inside this little box. But you're always learning. They never, you never know everything about bees. There's always something to learn. I think I love that part, because I'm always growing, and you the more you put into them, you see how much you get rewarded from them as well, because they respond to that. So yeah, I don't know, they're very lovable, even though they sting you every now and again. They're very, very lovable creatures.
Who started? Hey, they don't attack for no reason.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So there's a local bee club. How many members in that bee club, and what type of demographic do they have over there?
So there's about 70 members.
Wow.
Excuse me. So not everyone makes the meetings. We have a meeting once a month. And the demographic is about is definitely an older demographic. It's kind of 40 to 60 people who don't always work full time and have a bit of spare time to take up a hive. I'm in my mid-20s, and there's only really a handful of us at my age. So, and certainly mostly men actually who are there, who beekeep. So not too sure why, but yeah, it's a really fun place, and everyone loves to share what's happening in their hives, and you get a really good perspective for what's going on in the region as well, which I find really helpful. You know, what's flowering and what plants are doing what, and you know, issues with, I don't know, Varroa or queens or mating or whatever it is. So you get a really good perspective, and I find as a new beekeeper that really helps. So
yeah, oh, that's awesome. That leads me to ask you actually, what would be your advice to new beekeepers?
Yeah, find someone who has some experience and latch onto them as much as they will let you. So yeah, having someone that doesn't mind you calling them and asking those silly, weird questions, I think that's really helpful, because I mean, you can read as much as text as you like and watch as many YouTube clips as you like, which is also really helpful, because I think never stop learning is also really good. A really key point with bees. But having someone that you can call and just say, oh, this just weird scenarios going on in my hive, and you know, there's no textbook on this, can you please give me some tips? You know, and that's who I've had, my bee tutor, who I did my course with. I still pester him, and that's who I call when I have any problems and just wanting some tips and tricks, and yeah, and he gives me all the time in the world, which is much appreciated. So yeah, just find someone who loves to share their passion and knowledge with you, and don't let them go.
You were saying just before that your background is actually marketing, which is why like your Instagram page is like awesome, I have to say. I'm like always looking at your picture and go like, oh, love it. But the way you go around it, that's great. But what do you think you're good at? Not the marketing side.
Marketing side. Oh, I was probably going to say that. What am I good at? I think I'm observant. I think that's yeah, one of my biggest strengths. I like to really observe what's going on in the hive, and pick up those little bits and pieces that maybe people would miss. I find I'm very observant, definitely. I don't know why. I mean, I grew up on farms. Yeah. And so you take note of animal welfare and their health and things like that a lot. So maybe it's just kind of ingrained in me, but I do think that I'm observant. If I had to pick something. Yeah.
Cool. Leads me to ask you, what do you think you're not very good at?
Not very good at. What am I not good at? Sometimes asking for help.
Oh.
I think my plate gets very full, and especially with working full time and managing my bees, and I'm not just out in my beehives. I'm also trying to grow a little business, with marketing and packaging my honey and selling it. And there's, so many different hats you have to wear, that as a new business owner, I've had to really learn to delegate and ask for help, and where applicable, also, pay for expertise from people. And I think that, that's something I've had to really learn.
Yeah, asking for help, and which is great because you have a mentor and some ways, and someone that you can leech on. But delegating, again, I can understand you, because delegating is so hard, and like asking for help, you feel like sometimes you're annoying the person. Do you take on board some new beekeepers sometime with you?
I don't have any. Well, I do have people that I take out and about with me. Yeah, they're not beekeepers themselves. They just love bees. I think maybe from watching some of my posts on Instagram and videos, and they just get so excited they want to come out with me. So I find that really flattering, and I love to take people out and show them inside a beehive for the first time, because I remember my first time in a beehive, and I just remember thinking like, wow, this is so cool. So I love to take people for that experience. And I have a few people who have started, the last year beekeeping, doing course, and I get a few texts and phone calls from them fielding some questions, which is really flattering. Sometimes I feel like I don't know enough to help them, but I try my best. So yeah, I think the bee communities, especially the Bee Society, is really good at supporting each other and fielding questions and looking after one another. And I think that's a really fun part of beekeeping.
No, that's great. It sounds like, I feel like it's like the beekeeping world anyway. They should understand we're all like a sort of beehives together. We just don't belong to the same queen.
Exactly.
Here in Australia we don't have Varroa, so that's going to lead me to ask you, what's the Varroa infestation down your side of the South Island like? Is it bad, and how you treat it, and how often do you treat it, and what do you treat it with? And
you are so lucky that you don't have Varroa. They are the most annoying little creatures on this earth. But so the whole of New Zealand unfortunately has Varroa. I don't know what regions are worse than others, but I have Varroa, and most beekeepers treat every autumn and every spring. So it tends to be Epivar or Bevarol, and they alternate the treatments so that the Varroa doesn't build up immunity to one or the other if we're just using Epivar or just using Bevarol. But they're just chemical strips, and you either put, depending on what treatment it is, you put 2 or 4 in a hive, in the brood box, and it stays in there for about 6 to 8 weeks, and then you take them out. But this year I'm hoping to experiment with oxalic acid. So I would like to try that, because I found my last treatment that I did in spring was effective, but not 100% effective on all my hives. And I found that some of the infestation came back, and then obviously you can't treat when the honey supers are on. So, that definitely made it challenging. You've got to, take honey off and retreat, or if they're bringing honey in, then that honey obviously can't be used for human consumption. So it can be a lot to manage, and oxalic acid looks like a really effective way to killing them. So also, it's not a nasty chemical strip. I find those strips, just as a side note, a little bit annoying on your nice new frames in your brood box as well, because you put them in and the bees chew around. You've got to keep moving them because they chew around the wax, so where the strip is sitting. So you end up with like a nice new frame, big chunks of wax chewed out. And so then they want to build other cells. But it can be very heartbreaking when you find a hive and you've treated it, and you've noted deforming virus or something like that in there. Yeah, it's really horrible. Varroa definitely sucks all the goodness out of a hive. So it can be a lot to manage.
Just give me a second, because my kids went to school and they forget to leave to close the door, so the dogs barks at everything that walks past.
Oh, that's so funny. No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh. Perfect. Thank you so much. Sorry, everyone.
That's okay. It's mine outside too. I see him peeking at the window at me.
It's funny. I love it here. It's been raining actually last night. So yeah, what's the season's been like lately? For the past since you started, like in terms of flow and the weather and stuff like that.
So the first season I beekeeped, to be honest, I probably didn't pay that much attention to the weather. As a new beekeeper, maybe it didn't stick in my mind, the importance of the weather. But last year was an amazing season. We made so much honey. It was one of the best seasons in apparently a very long time. So it was quite an up to come in on as a new beekeeper. But this season has been a little bit up and down. So November, December, amazing. December was beautiful weather. We hardly had any rain or just light little bits of rain, and it was so warm. The bees really they've just been gangbusters. But in January, it's been, most weekends were raining, so that was quite hard. It was nice during the week, but the weekends were raining. It made it really tricky for me to get out and check my hives. And because obviously it was going from hot to cold and hot to cold, they were getting funny ideas about wanting to swarm again. So that was getting a little bit frustrating. It seems to be a bit more settled now. I don't know about other areas if that's just Southland. I think up north it's been, they have relatively more steady weather. But I'm not too sure about the rest of them. But yeah, it's still been very productive this season, so I can't complain too much, to be fair.
Yeah. Cool. You have to? Can you explain to the viewers and listeners what's the weather like? How cold does it get in winter, and if it snows, and summer, how hot does it get?
Yeah. So even though New Zealand's quite little, between the very top of New Zealand and the bottom, we can have very different weather. So traditionally, where I live, a great summer's day would be mid-20s. I would be out there thinking this is a beautiful, hot, sunny day, no clouds, not a lot of wind. That's really our kind of typical summer day. Spring can be quite uncertain. It can be hot and cold and really iffy. We kind of have this saying that we can have all seasons in one day here. You never really leave the house without a rain jacket because you just don't know. It can be beautiful for the morning and then suddenly a cloud rolls over and it pours down on you. Winter we do get frosts here, and it might reach -1, 2, 3. It's not -20, anything like that. We do get snow, definitely snow during winter, typically about August actually, kind of start of spring, which is odd. We do get usually a big snow dumping right about when the lambs are going to be born, so poor little guys. It's our average day would be, I don't know, like 15 degrees maybe. So,
that's good. Well, it's good. It's good that, I like how. What do you think? In average, like in good season type thing, like in terms of honey.
Oops, sorry. I think our connection went funny there. Sorry, what was that again?
So with that weather that you have, it's actually like good condition for the bees as such, sort of, not in winter. But what is the average of honey intake that you get per hive, for example?
So last year it was about 35, 40 kilos a hive.
Nice.
Yeah, so some hives had more, you know, and some less, but yeah, it was around about that 40 kilo mark per hive is what I got. So yeah, I was really happy with that.
That's good. That's awesome. What's the funniest moments in your beekeeping journey? Yeah.
It's probably the same as what everyone else says. It's always a sting story. But I took my bee suit off at the end of beekeeping, and I got a bee caught in my hair, and my hair blew around onto my face, and I got stung on my eyelid. And luckily, my husband was with me at the time, and he managed to scratch out the stinger. But my whole face blew up, and I was at the very beginning, the first 10-15 minutes, I was like, oh, okay, my face was a bit funny, but you know, what can I do about it? Probably not a lot. And anyway, about half an hour later, I started getting all rashy and hot, and my throat got very itchy, and my breathing started to get worse, and I thought, I don't think this is normal. So my husband drove me down to the hospital, and I went to the emergency department, and then they plugged me up with everything that they plug you up with down there. So yeah, there's a few funny pictures on my Instagram actually, if anyone's intrigued by my elephant face. But
I remember.
Yeah, that was pretty
I remember the chronology of it. Like it was a little bit, and then it got bigger until the day after. You're like, I
had no nose at all. Like my whole bridge of my nose was gone, and I had this, like, the bottom of my face was all swollen. I had like this big sack of fluid. It was dreadful. It was so horrible. Oh God, I hate things around my face now. They just give me the willy. So
it's actually because that's the first place. If they are agitated with you, that's the first place they will go for, the face.
Yeah, well, it's smart. I mean, I don't blame them. It's smart on their behalf, but it really wasn't helpful.
What's the most enjoyable part of beekeeping for you?
Just being out in a hive. No phone calls or cell phones. My job is during the week is so computer technology, phone based. It's so nice just unplugging and it's peaceful. I kind of find it meditative. Like it's just the bees are humming and it's kind of this white noise. Some people get weirded out by that noise, but I just love it. And they're just going about their business, and it's a beautiful warm day, and I'm just mooching around my beehives. It's just magic. That's my favorite. Those little quiet times are my favorite in a beehive.
I try to hold on to that question with people, but I really want to ask you that question. Is your opinion within the female in the beekeeping world, and it can be in the world of beekeeping in the commercial rate, or in hi Tanil. Oh, come on in. It can be in the world like a female commercial rate, or like hobbyist, you know.
Yeah.
What do you think of
I think it's really a rise of female beekeepers, which I think is awesome. You know, traditionally I think it's been a male-dominated industry. But I think, yeah, there's more and more women that are getting into it and finding their love for bees, which is really cool. It is a very physical industry. You know, need to be strong and fit. You need to be able to, you know, work some power tools, and you need to lift 30 honey boxes and things like that. That can be turbulent, you know, sometimes. But there's definitely ways around it, you know, rather than using full deck supers, using three-quarter supers to make it easier. But I mean, I think it's exciting that more women are getting into it, and it just goes to show we can kind of do anything, and the world's really our oyster now. So yeah, it's going to be exciting to see what comes, and how many more young beekeepers get into it, and how many women beekeepers are out there. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Woohoo. Now let's get to my last question before I let you be.
Good
I don't know
one.
what okay. My last question is, where do you see Munro Honey Co. in next 3 years?
Yeah, cool. I'm really excited where Munro Honey Co. will go. In the next year, I would like to double my hives and get to about 50, 60. And I would like to work my other job part-time so I can really grow my little business. And then in a year's time, I would love to be able to say I'm 100% fully, into my business. That's where my income comes from. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I would love to develop not just honey, other little products like beeswax wraps and candles and those sorts of things too. But I would love to do some conservation project, maybe have a garden I can plant full of bee-friendly plants and run some courses and teach kids or adults or whoever wants to learn about bees and what they can do to look after our bees. And so, yeah, I'm really excited where it will take us. It's going to be cool.
Sounds exciting.
It's so exciting.
Well,
it's already growing so much more than I ever thought possible. So who knows?
Thanks to your marketing magic tools. You're fantastic. Thank you so much for being here today. And Waitangi Day today. I don't know what you're doing in New Zealand. This is like a public holiday over there, you guys, if you don't know. So happy Waitangi Day. Thank you so much. I will leave all your Facebook page and Instagram page in the comment down below. If you have anything to ask Stephanie, you can comment down below, or just, private message her. But yeah, thank you so much for being here and being part of the project. And I'm sure I will call you again in the next 3 years.
Yeah, can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Thank you for having me.
Cool. All right. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.